All right, you may want to stay standing because I want to be able to now acknowledge our incredible students here, and they're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's give the students, the teachers, the principals, every educator in this building a round of applause. Please be seated. Good afternoon, everybody. It is so wonderful to be here with all of you today, and I want to begin with acknowledgments. And the mayor and I were just joking that in Camden, when we do acknowledgments, it is a formidable list because we are such a formidable team, and there are so many people on that team. So it is with great pride I ask you to get comfortable as I acknowledge some amazing people. Let's start with the Kip Cooper Norcross team. Drew Martin, the executive director, the principal here, Travis Dempsey, assistant principal Mark Tan. Susan Bass-Levin has played such an incredible role alongside that team to help bring this building to the state that it is in currently. Let's give her a quick round of applause. Our school board, so our president, Martha Wilson, vice president, Felicia Reyes Morton, Ms. Teresa Atwood, Mr. Jose Brito Bueno, Minister Wasim Mohammed, and Ms. Taisha Munir. Thank you all so much for all you do. We're joined by our Commissioner of Education in the state of New Jersey, Kimberly Harrington. Thank you for being here, Commissioner. We have some unbelievable school partners in our Renaissance and charter school community. Scott Gordon and Joe Ferguson from Mastery, representatives from Uncommon and KIPP, Joe Conway from Camden Charter School Network, Ron Brady from Freedom Prep, Antoinette Dentler from ECO, and Robin Ruiz from Hope. Our higher ed partners are here. Thank you so much, Chancellor Haddon and Deputy Chancellor Naima Watson, for being here. President Don Borden at Camden County College, excuse me. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to acknowledge the parents in the room. Raise your hand if you are a parent in the room. Alicia Rivera, I see her. Miss Moda, I see you. Thank you all for being here. And I now want to recognize an incredibly special person in the audience here. Her name is Roletta Cream. Miss Cream. If you don't know who Miss Cream is, you should find some time to get to know who Miss Cream is. Miss Cream is a legendary educator, longtime principal of Camden High School. Miss Cream attended the Whittier School from kindergarten through 8th grade, and her first job as a teacher was here at the Whittier School. We are so honored that you are here today. If you spend a moment with Miss Cream, she'll be the first to tell you how special it is that we are gathered in this building, because when she attended school here, this was a Plessy versus Ferguson school. This was one of 2 schools in Camden that served African American students. And so the building was built in 1910, but just 2 years ago, it was in complete disrepair. Just 2 years ago, with students in this building, there was yellow caution tape on the front steps because the front steps of this building were then condemned because they were structurally unsound. Oftentimes, all of the bathrooms were not functional. There'd be long lines throughout this building as kids fought to get into the restroom. Every issue under the sun existed here. And here we are today, in this building with incredible history. $25 million invested in one of the great school organizations in KIPP serving the students here. And it is thanks to just about everybody in this room that we can say this, and we can acknowledge the hard work that has gone into this building and this school. But that conversation starts with our governor and our mayor. If it weren't, give them a round of applause. If it weren't for their initial partnership, a little over 4 years ago when the state intervened here in Camden, we would not be here today. We would not have unlocked the potential of our youth that we see and the progress that we are experiencing here in Camden. The governor is going to talk about that in much more detail, so I'm going to be very, very brief here. I do want to add just a couple very brief stories. And when I'm standing here and we're reflecting on the past 4+ years, heading into year 5, which is hard to believe, I'm actually thinking back to when I first met Governor Christie and I was a finalist for this job. It was the 4th of July weekend, 2013. And you know, in an interview, at the end of the interview, and the interviewer asked you, do you have any questions? And so I wasn't really prepared to ask the governor a question, and I in hindsight, naively asked him, Governor Christie, are you willing to support the big, bold, aggressive, but important and unpopular decisions we're going to have to make in order to do right by Camden children? And at first, he deadpanned, gave me a serious look, and then he chuckled and he grinned. He's like, hey, man, are you kidding me? I'm a Republican governor in the bluest state in America. I'm playing with house money here. Of course I'm going to support you. And so I had 2 realizations then, and I still have those 2 realizations today. Governor Christie is someone who doesn't just sit on goodwill and political capital. He draws down on it and is willing to make tough decisions that may in the moment be challenging and unpopular, but in the long run he knows will benefit thousands, tens of thousands of New Jersey residents. And that secondly, he cares deeply about Camden, New Jersey. And I now want to acknowledge our mayor and in a moment welcome her up. Because as I mentioned, if it weren't for her initial partnership with the governor, we wouldn't be here. I've had a weekly check-in, a weekly meeting with the mayor for 4+ years now. And I can tell you that the incisive questions she asks and the high bar she holds for me are indicative of the type of leader she is and the care she has for Camden children. From the very beginning, when she embraced the state intervention, then sought and won re-election, and then continued to stand with us and to partner with us to do what's right for Camden children, it's just, frankly, remarkable. Please welcome up Dana Red.
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent Rahonaford, and we are so delighted to have you as a member of the Camden team. Let's give our superintendent a round of applause. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the City Invincible, the City of Camden. Certainly today is another phenomenal day for our citizens, an important day for the children, youth, and families as we gather to listen to Governor Christie's remarks on the future of education here at Kip Cooper Norcross Academy's newly renovated Kip Whittier Middle School. Let's give that team a round of applause. As the Mayor of Camden, I am pleased and proud to welcome a number of elected officials, special guests, our school administrators, and of course our Camden parents and residents, and to say thank you for your hard work in partnering with us, with the governor, and with my administration to bring about the change that we are seeing, unprecedented change in the city of Camden, and in the history we have certainly rewritten a new narrative for our city that we can be proud of. I'd like to begin by acknowledging our 5th District legislative team, our Senator Nilsa Cruz Perez, along with Assembly Member Arthur 6-8 Barkley, our City Council President, Council President Francisco Frank Moran, joined by council members Dr. Luis Lopez and Mr. Brian Coleman. And while our favorite freeholder has already been acknowledged, I have to acknowledge this wonderful, phenomenal woman who has been an educator, a legendary principal of Camden High, my mother, adopted mother and grandmother, freeholder, Roletta Cream. Our Camden County Sheriff, Gilbert Whit Wilson. Our Camden County Police Chief, John Scott Thompson. And of course, all that have been acknowledged as the protocols have been set with our superintendent in his acknowledgments. So as many of you know, and the superintendent has already mentioned this, that the revitalization of Camden has been an incredible team effort, and I have to underscore an incredible team effort. It has also been a holistic approach where we have come together with our governor around the issues of public safety, around education and economic growth and development and job creation, that we are lifting our city out of generational decades of poverty. We are starting to see the fruits and the results of our labor because we did not get weary in well-doing. We came together back in 2012 to improve academic outcomes for our children, and we put our local political differences aside because our children were worth fighting for. When Governor Christie visited Camden several years ago, again in 2012, our schools were low performing. They were plagued by low graduation rates and also high dropout rates from high school. In fact, 23 out of 26 of our public schools were performing in the lowest 5% of all the school districts in the state of New Jersey. But coming together with an incredible team of leaders, we understood that we had an obligation to give our children a real chance to succeed. And so with that in mind, we began our journey in 2012, recognizing that our school system was failing and that our children were not succeeding, and we needed to do something drastic. Together, and when I say together, I mean the community in this togetherness, that we did not sit back and point the finger at any particular person. We decided to create solutions and to get the job done. We demanded accountability to make our schools stronger. We chose to make our district more competitive, but most importantly, we gave our students the opportunity to be successful. And so that is why I stand here today to celebrate all of you in the room, and I ask that you give yourselves a round of applause. As I am winding down my term, I must acknowledge a true friend and strong partner and advocate for the city of Camden. And though we hail from two different political parties, we have been together side by side in the efforts of the city and putting people first and putting our children first. And I want to thank from the bottom of my heart Governor Christie, who has always been a phone call away. He has always been a phone call away whenever I needed help for this city of Camden, and he's always been genuine, as you can sense when you meet him up close and personal. We believe that he and I have established a national model for how two political parties can work together and solve problems that improve the quality of life for the people that we serve. And over the past 8 years, we have confronted and found solutions to many systemic issues, and along the way, the governor has been generous with his time to visit with our youth. So whether it was attending a football night game at Camden High or coming to throw out a couple pitches with the young people in Pine Point Park, Governor, we want you to know that you have made a wonderful impact, and our children love you, and you are always welcome. As you know, Camden is your second home. So Governor, I don't know if you remember, But our journey for educational reform began on a blistering hot summer day in 2011 when the governor came to Camden to announce a new set of transformational policy initiatives that would assist cities like Camden, Newark, and Trenton to improve educational outcomes for our students. But he didn't stop there. The governor and his staff and his cabinet have been hands-on since that day to assist Camden on its journey, whether it was the signing of the Urban Hope Act that led to the creation of Renaissance schools, the state intervention which led to a new leader leading our Camden public schools and Superintendent Paymon Rahonaford, or the commitment to build a brand new Camden High School, Castle on the Hill. This partnership between Governor Christie and myself opened the way for choice and real educational reform. And so we celebrate you, Governor. You are truly visionary. Before I bring the governor to the podium to give his address on the future of education in New Jersey, and certainly the nation can take a page out of his book, I want to thank, again, our Council President, Frank Moran, all of our Board of Education members who are here and have been acknowledged for standing during the tough times when the decisions were difficult, when they weren't popular, but we knew it was necessary. I want to thank you. I especially want to thank the Congress of Residents, faith-based and community-based organizations, again, for becoming a part of a vision, a team, and your sacrifice of service does not go unnoticed. And I challenge you and I implore you to continue this effort going into the next 4 years with the next person who will lead this city, which will be our Council President, Frank Moran. Please stay together. So now it gives me great honor to bring to the podium a man who is phenomenal in his own leadership style. His yays are yays, his nays are nays, and I appreciate that when you know when a person and where they're coming from. But again, someone who has been here in Camden many times and has stood with us in good days and in bad days. We love our governor. Please welcome Governor Chris Christie.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be back in Camden. I'm not going to acknowledge all the people that Paymon and the mayor have already acknowledged. You get my acknowledgement implicitly. A few folks that I do want to say I'm proud to have here, my Education Commissioner, Commissioner Harrington, who has continued to work with everybody here in Camden to try to make sure that the reforms we put in place produce the results that we want them to produce for our children. I'm happy to also have Aaron Fickner, my Commissioner of Labor, and Melissa Orson, the CEO of the Economic Development Authority, who really is the most popular person in Camden because she's the one with the checkbook, so she does okay here. Also want to acknowledge former Congressman Dick Zimmer, who is here and has taken a great interest in this city. Congressman, thank you for being here. And I want to acknowledge the guy who was yelling over to my left, Angel. It's great to have you here, Angel Cordero. And someone who cares deeply about the children of this city. When I became governor, all the way back in January of 2010, it would have been unthinkable that we would be gathering in a school on this spot in this city to celebrate the state of public education in the city of Camden. Innovative Renaissance schools like this one did not even exist. We had yet to pass the Urban Hope Act, one of many reforms to come that would help change the landscape of the opportunity that exists today for our children in this city and their families. 2010, we all know Camden was a very different place than it is now. It was strikingly different. Nearly 8 years ago, this city was suffering from a disinvestment not only of money, but of spirit, and a general lack of faith that others didn't have in the future of this city. Lots of folks in the private sector had written off Camden a long time ago, and even some people in government had done the same thing. Many corporations had fled years earlier with little or no desire to invest and develop further in the city, and residents and visitors were afraid to walk the streets without the constant threat of violence and crime that lurked in almost every neighborhood in this great city. But perhaps the worst impact of all of this was its effect on the children of Camden, because they were impacted by all the things that I just mentioned, and were stuck in a school system that, as the mayor pointed out, had 23 of its 26 schools in the lowest 5% of performers in the entire state. We were failing to educate our children, and we were failing to provide them with an opportunity to reach their goals and their dreams. And that hopelessness, if you let it seep in, is crippling. Describing the climate in the city as one of hopelessness is not an exaggeration, it was a reality. And the state had spent years of misguided, in my view, unsuccessful state intervention, where the state just came in and told Camden what to do, said, here's some money, but here's the way you have to spend it, this is what you have to do, and you have no role or say in the matter at all. Worst of all, it appeared that there were some in Camden, because of all these failures, that had stopped believing in Camden themselves. But the same year I entered office, Mayor Dana Red entered office. She's talked about our alliance and our friendship. But I want to tell you that it's rooted not only in a great sense of respect for each other, our honesty with each other, our respect for each other, but it was also rooted in a refusal to believe that Camden could not be transformed. And it's an occasion like this that allows us to talk about all that progress that we've made on behalf of all of the people of the city of Camden. So, you know, the most important part is to focus on the successes meant for our children. I'm proud to say that 8 years ago, change began to take hold in this city. Our administration recognized the critical importance of revitalizing every aspect of this city. And we, the mayor and I, immediately began working with the legislature to try to make that happen. Everybody who has had a role in this, in every step along this journey, has my thanks. Everyone who's worked with me to transform Camden into the vibrant and growing city it is becoming. Folks like Congressman Norcross, Senate President Sweeney, Assembly Leader Greenwald, and Chief Thompson. All of those folks, 3 of whom are not here today, need to be acknowledged here today as well, because their absence today does not mean they've ever been absent a day in helping to lead the city. And I do remember that interview on 4th of July weekend very well with Camden's superintendent, Payman Rahanafard. There were 2 finalists that were brought to me, and they could not have been more different. I'm not going to use the name of the person who we didn't pick, but what I'll say is that one was rooted in a lot of ideas of the past, had an extraordinary resume of experience, but as I sat and listened to that person, I then had the opportunity to contrast it with what I heard from Payman. And it was clear to me that he was the right person for this job. And I know he knows he's benefited from the support of Rochelle Hendricks, of Kim Harrington, of Dave Hespy, and of Chris Cerf, all the people who have helped to run the Department of Education during the time that he's been working here in Camden. Every one of them played a significant role. They all deserve real gratitude. But the partnership, as I've said, is truly, as the mayor said, the mayor and I. We both faced significant challenges, political challenges. But we also both knew we could make a difference if we compromised, if we worked with other people, dragged them into our little conspiracy, and tried to find common goals that people of goodwill couldn't possibly object to. And that's why, despite the differences in party that Dana mentioned before, a guy from North Jersey and this woman who personifies South Jersey, because that's a much bigger divide than Republican or Democrat, as you all know, we're able to come together to achieve really wonderful things. I want to thank the mayor for her partnership, for her ability to see beyond party lines. But to me, the most inspirational part of her leadership is that she is a child of Camden. And she can set an example every day, and has, for the current children of Camden, that they not only have an opportunity, but an obligation to make a difference in the place where they were born and raised. So Mayor, even though you're soon ending your time as an elected leader in this city, as I am ending my time as elected leader in this state, I know you're going to continue to be seen as a leader to everyone who will come to this city and will benefit from the hard work that you have done. You have truly left Camden better than you found it. Think about all the problems we were facing. The economy, crime, infrastructure, healthcare, education. Every one of those areas Camden was struggling. We knew we needed to take a fresh take on things. So we developed some new ideas and innovative approaches to solve the problems, because doing it the same way was not going to work. We built alliances, we listened to each other, we yelled at each other. But together we unleashed the endless potential of this city and the amazing people that call it home, who for all of these years have just been hungry for an opportunity to be part of the solution. And that's what we were committed to doing. And by being a part of the solution, not just observers, not just people who were subjected to ideas, but became participants in them, that provided them with the hope that you need to see that tomorrow can be better than yesterday. Nowhere has that manifested itself more than in Camden schools. We also need to know the state of the city as a whole has been extraordinary. We've transformed Camden into an attractive location for businesses, investment by the private sector again, development and growth. In the past 7 years, we've attracted more than $3 billion in private sector investment into the city of Camden. Imagine if I'd come here in 2010 and said, don't worry, within 8 years, $3 billion from the private sector is going to come to Camden. And it's going to create more than 7,000 jobs in Camden through 133 projects. And it's going to generate 14,000 construction jobs to build the facilities that they're going to need to live and work here in Camden. Thanks to the EDA, the Business Action Center, the Department of Labor and Workforce Development, we can call Camden the headquarters city, right? The headquarters. Subaru, American Waterworks, Holtec, the 76ers, all set up shop here. In fact, Holtec, which I visited last week, has taken its commitment a step further by hiring locally and providing training assistance so that Camden residents can acquire the skills to work at Holtec for the positions that they have available. And how about this for things I could only have prayed I'd have the ability to say 8 years later? The largest over-the-year percentage increase in employment among the entire nation's 38 metropolitan areas, the largest in America last year, occurred in Camden, New Jersey. Just this past March, Camden was ranked 3rd in the nation for its rate of job growth in the month. These are employment rankings this region has not witnessed in generations. We also did what many said was impossible by working with Scott Thompson and elected officials to overhaul public safety and police services to create a countywide force that has put more police officers on the street, that cares about working with the community, and says together, the community and the police force, we can make Camden a safer city. And how about when I became U.S. Attorney, this was called the murder capital of America, and 15 years later, last quarter, there was only 1 murder in the entire quarter in the city of Camden. It's been miraculous. And everybody has contributed to this. We put resources at their disposal, sure. State-of-the-art technology like the Real-Time Crime Center, which is equipped with over 120 citywide cameras and microphones to help monitor the streets. And together with the mayor and the chief, we established a national model in community policing, one that's developed into an effective, efficient police force that the community respects and wants to work with, and knows that they have their best interests at heart and their children's best interests every day when they walk onto the streets of this city. And what's happened as a result? Crime and violence has fallen. In fact, from 2013 to 2016, the number of victims of crime decreased by over 1,000. 1,000 fewer victims. Any of you who know a victim of crime in this city knows what it does to a person, to be a victim of crime. Imagine 1,000 less of those in Camden. As of 2016, Camden experienced sharp reductions in crime compared with the same point in 2012. A 30% reduction in homicides, a 43% reduction in robberies, an 8% reduction in aggravated assaults, 21% drop in overall violent crime, and a 34% drop in nonviolent crime. Economic development, job production, crime reduction, they're all necessary to make those who live in Camden want to stay here, and those who have not yet figured out this is a place to come, to want to come here. To get back to why I am in this room today, the most important work we have done together is the reawakening of Camden's school system and the hope for a promising future for every child that goes to our public school system. Together, we've taken a school system that was broken and put it on the path to reform so that the children of Camden can have the quality education they so deserve. The initial decision to take over the Camden school system in 2013 was not one that I made lightly. I knew that in sections of this city it would not be a popular decision. But it had become clear to me that after decades of failure, undeniable failure, this is not imputing any ill will to anyone who was trying then, but the facts were the facts. We needed to take action that we had never wanted to take before. So with the support of the mayor and other stakeholders throughout this city, we knew we could begin to turn the school system around, root out the failure, and finally put Camden's children first. The situation we faced was dismal at best. Prior to 2013, Camden was the lowest performing school district in the state. Nearly 90% of Camden schools were in the bottom 5%, and only 49% of Camden students were graduating from high school. Less than half. Some 37 points below the statewide average. That's just unacceptable for the mothers and fathers of Camden who want a better future for their children, like every parent wants a better future for their children in this state. But now here we are 4 years later, and we've got some strikingly different results to talk about. 49% graduation rate back in 2012, 70% graduation rate in 2016. The high school dropout rate that the mayor talked about, nearly cut in half in the last 4 years. And we're not going to stop until we make sure that all of our kids stay there until they get a degree that will help them get a great job or go on to further higher education. And this year, over 100 students from all 5 of the district's high schools are enrolled in college courses while in high school at Camden County College. Back in 2012, there were no Camden students in high school earning college credit in high school. Now they're getting ready for college. The folks in this city and in this school system accomplish these positive results by providing committed leadership, working creatively, and not shying away from making the tough decisions that needed to be made. First, we needed to pick an extraordinary leader at the helm of the school district, someone with vision, creative thinking, and a willingness to question why things should be done the way they always had been done if we were the worst performing school district in the state. Paymon promised me that if I gave him the role of superintendent, that's what he would do, not just because he knew it was right, but it's because it's who he is. He was someone who could bring fresh ideas and energy, as well as an understanding that we could never make real change unless we challenged the status quo. More importantly, both of us have a strong commitment to ensure that every child in Camden has access to a great school, whether that's a traditional public school, whether it's a vocational school, whether it's a public charter school or a Renaissance school. It should not matter what we call it. What should matter only 2 things. Is that where a parent trusts their child to learn, and is that child learning? Those are the 2 things we should care about. And I'm proud to say that Paymon has kept his word. He's worked tirelessly for the people of this city. For the next mayor, be careful. He's had more than 160 community meetings. I don't know if he's running for something, but we'll see. As well as everyone will remember his 100-day listening tour, which resulted in the participation of hundreds of students and parents and other concerned members of the community. He's tackled the issue of the district school dropouts. Guess how? You all know, right? He goes door to door if your kids don't show up at school and tries to convince everyone to re-enroll the kids in school. What other superintendent in New Jersey does that for the kids of his district? And as he mentioned, he's partnered with the mayor, launched the Safe Corridor Initiative to create safe walking routes for students to and from school. Of course, the Camden County Police Force Metro Division was integral in that. Under his leadership, every Camden teacher received a laptop for the first time, and over 2,000 new computers were made available to students so they can have individualized learning on their own pace. Camden also has technology demonstration centers to give students access to computer labs and the tools they need. Camden is now finally a 21st century school district. It's long overdue. Sheriff knows I came to football practice and a Friday night football game. When I came to the practice to visit the guys at Camden High, they told me practice isn't nearly as fun as the games, Governor. So you need to come to the games. And I did on a Friday night and enjoyed it immensely to see the spirit that only comes out in athletic competition. It's unique, it's different, and it showed the renewal of spirit in this city. He's a staple at those Friday night football games as well, you know that. You see him at the Saturday basketball games, and you know that if you need to, he's a guy you can get him on the phone. And boy, parents love when they can go right to the person who's making the decisions and be able to find out what's going on with their child and how they can work with someone to make sure that their child is reaching their goals. He's committed, he's passionate, and his leadership is exactly what the Camden schools needed. I was lucky that 4th of July weekend he walked into my office, and I'm even luckier that he said yes when I offered the job, and our kids are benefiting from his leadership each and every day. And because these 2 leaders did what they did, community activists who once fought the school district now advocate on its behalf. See, the future of Camden's schools and its students is bright, and even Camden's harshest critics from the past know that this is really just a part of the past. There's so much to be proud of, both today and for the future. Students across this district are performing better on statewide tests than they were in 2013. Additionally, instructional and operational structures are being put in place so that more students are becoming proficient. And each year, more students are improving, demonstrating growth on all those statewide tests, and have even in recent times outperformed some of their academic peers across the state from the school district that was last. They are now outperforming school districts across the state. Let's be specific. In all elementary and middle schools, 15 out of 15, from the school year 14-15 to the school year 15-16, student growth rose in math at every school. In 12 schools, student growth had an increase of over 10 points, which is a faster rate of improvement than almost any of their peers in the state of New Jersey. And we've seen progress in the PARCC tests as well. In 2016, all but 2 of the elementary and middle schools showed progress in math, and all but 1 showed progress in English as well. In addition to academic progress, we've also set an aggressive and progressive agenda to empower parents to choose what they believe is best for their child. We've opened or expanded 4 high-quality charter schools in Camden during our administration. In 2017-18, the school year we're in, charter schools in Camden, public charter schools, remember, they are public schools, will serve over 4,700 students in this city. For some of these students, a charter school education in Camden has led to a desire to come back where it all began. At Camden's Promise Charter School, 8 members of the staff were once students in the school and have now returned to serve as teachers. Jose Vasquez was born and raised in Camden and attended Camden's Promise. After graduating as salutatorian, I didn't do that, he pursued his passion for science at Rutgers Camden and graduated with a biology degree in 2016. He continued with a Woodrow Wilson Teaching Fellowship, which this administration established to give young men and women the opportunity to receive their master's degree, and he now teaches as an 8th grade science teacher at Camden's Promise. Pretty clear he's a Camden guy. And I'd like to thank him for his commitment to his city and his service as an educator. He also is a mentor and a role model for the children he teaches, because they know he came from here, and from here he got there. That's an extraordinary piece of inspiration. Cristala Santiago was born in 2001 in the city of Camden and is currently a sophomore at the Camden Academy Charter High School. When she graduates with the class of 2020, she has aspirations of becoming an FBI agent. Yeah, I used to know that job pretty well. And she hopes to attend Stockton University. She's a member of the high school softball team. Another risky one, Dana. She has a passion for public speaking, and she also really cares about helping those who are less fortunate. Last year, she was a lead student advocate for a Covenant House fundraising event that raised over $40,000 for homeless youth. With her combination of leadership instincts, ambition, her compassion for others, her record of achievement, and an obviously winning smile, I know we're going to see really even bigger things in her future here in Camden, in New Jersey, and wherever her future takes her. Congratulations. While strong charters have thrived with the support of both our administration and the school administration and have helped students like Cristala succeed, 3 failing charters have been closed in Camden. because they weren't offering students a strong education. It doesn't matter. Again, I mean this. I don't care what the school is called. We'll refuse to keep charter schools open just for the sake of supporting our, belief in school choice if that choice is a bad choice. We're not going to do that. Unlike others, we've put the politics of this aside. We make these decisions on the merits. And we hold every school in this district accountable to the mothers and fathers who entrust their children with them. That should always be the measure, the only measure. That's only been the only measure under this administration, and I pray that in the future that'll continue to be the only thing that matters to people in positions of power. Are we serving our children and their parents? And if we're not, those schools should close. If they are, they should expand. I remember that blistering day. That was so damn hot outside. I'll never forget how hot that was that day. Let me tell you something, it was so hot even George Norcross was sweating. I think most of you have never seen him sweat. In 2012, though, that movement that started in 2011 resulted in 2012 in my opportunity to sign the Urban Hope Act. And this groundbreaking law, which we advocated for and the legislature passed, allowed the Camden School District to partner with proven nonprofit organizations to create innovative Renaissance schools, which offer families a high-quality neighborhood school option with a new or significantly renovated building. These unique schools serve a specific neighborhood and accept all students in their area who choose to attend. Now, Camden is fortunate to be served by 3 Renaissance school organizations: Kip Cooper Norcross, Uncommon Schools Camden Prep, and Mastery Schools of Camden. Now think about this is just now since 2012. They now operate 11 new high-quality schools located in 9 new or significantly renovated buildings in the city of Camden. These Renaissance schools currently serve nearly 4,000 Camden students. These places didn't exist 4 years ago. And many of these Renaissance students are outpacing their district peers on the PARCC test that we talked about before. They're truly opening a whole new world of success for students and a whole new place of pride for their parents. At Uncommon's Camden Prep, only 3% of the students had been proficient in English language arts when they attended a different school in 2015. In contrast, the very same students, 35% of the same students were proficient after they attended Camden Prep by 2017, from 3% to 35% in that short of a period of time. If you like that, you're going to like this even more. In math, those very same students went from 2.8% being proficient to 49% being proficient. And those are results that were achieved in just 1 year. 1 year. Don't tell me a great teacher in a great school with involved parents can't make a difference. That's the only thing that will make a difference. At Kip Cooper Norcross, 5% of the students had been proficient in English language arts when they attended a different school in 2015. That rose to 29% of the same students being proficient after 1 year at KIPP. In math, they went from 2.5% to 19%, again, just in 1 year. And in 2016-17, Mastery Schools performed 5 points higher than traditional district schools in English language arts, 2 points higher than the district schools in math. So throughout this, there's nothing but success to talk about. I want folks to understand this. My belief in school choice is a belief in Camden's parents. I believe, as a father of 4 children, that I got to choose with my wife where we thought it was best for our children to be educated. It should not just be those who have the economic wherewithal who make those decisions. Every parent deserves the right to make those decisions. In 2015-16, 26% of students enrolled in grades 3 to 8 in the Camden Charter Public Schools and the Renaissance Public Schools, and they scored proficient on the Park English Language Arts test, compared to just 10% in the traditional district schools. That same year, 19% of charter and Renaissance school students in grades 3 to 8 were proficient in math, compared to 9% in the traditional charter schools. The percentage of African American and Latino students, based on the 2015-16 Park results, in English language arts and math that met or exceeded expectations were twice, and in some cases 3 times higher than that of their peers. Now remember what public charter schools and Renaissance schools are also about. It is about freeing them up of some of the old rules, some of the old strictures, let them try new things and see what works. Now, we've always done the first part, but we've never done the second part. We now know what they're doing better. So our goal has to be to improve scores for all Camden schools. And we have to learn from the success that our children are having in Camden's public charter and public Renaissance schools, and have the courage to implement those same policies in every school in Camden, regardless of what it's called. Now, any discussions in the political arena in this election year about moratoriums on new or expanded charter schools, moratoriums on the expansion of existing Renaissance or charter schools, any prohibition on the growth of school choice in our state should be met with nothing but resistance by this community. You will have, I'm guaranteeing you, you will have politicians come in and say to you that they know better, that somehow this charter school movement and Renaissance school movement is bad for your children, is bad for your families. Parents, teachers, and other public advocates cannot allow the progress we have made to slide backwards because of petty, old politics. Don't let it happen. Because remember something, when a politician, whether they're running for the legislature or they're running for governor, sells something in return for support from a particular organization, when they have nothing to sell, they're selling you. They're selling you. They're selling your children's opportunity. They don't have anything themselves to sell out to these groups in return for support. What they're selling is your future of your children and your hope. See, because the proof of the success that's happened here is right in front of our eyes. We can't ignore it. And if our future leaders choose to cover their eyes and instead be led by the special interests, then they're failing you, they're failing our children, and worse yet, in my mind, they're committing a sin by stopping our children from reaching their fullest God-given potential, and no one has the right to do that. We know Camden children are better served when their parents have options and choices to make on their behalf. It's our job to provide those high-quality options and get rid of the low-quality ones. It's our job to see that our children succeed. But of course, in order for parents to take advantage of those options, we have to continue to empower them with safe and simple systems so they can find the best school for their children. And Camden has done just that. Transportation access has increased for more than 220 students to address safety concerns, 17 different enrollment applications, crazy. We're combined now to just one application for families. Really good, right? And they're in English and in Spanish, so you can enroll in any public school, whether it's traditional, Renaissance, public charter, and you don't have to fill out multiple forms, right? Enough of filling out all the forms. That result has been transformable. Just ask Shirley Irizarry. Shirley went to a district listening tour session about how to improve the Byzantine enrollment system. She shared how she had to make 7 round trips, to change her child's school. She was frustrated, and quite frankly, she had every right to be. The district listened, and today, Shirley Irizarry is a family enrollment guide who uses her hard-earned personal experience to help thousands of families not feel that same frustration and to find the best school for their child. That's the proof of what I told you about him. He listens. He listens. And then he responds and tries to make things better. That's how you serve families. That's how you develop and grow their confidence in you. And that's how we educate our children. And these families in Camden deserve nothing less than that. Now, I'm going to conclude by saying you have a lot more work to do. We know that. Just because we're celebrating today, we have the right to celebrate. But the same way that the Camden school system didn't decline overnight, it will not be completely fixed overnight, even in the last 4 years. We need to continue to combat the chronic absenteeism. Kids aren't there, they can't learn. And when children aren't in school for extensive periods of time, they start to fall behind their peers. And that affects everybody in the classroom, by the way, the teacher and all the other kids. In later grades, chronic absenteeism can lead to dropping out of high school. Eventually, you just don't go back anymore. In 2014, 38% of Camden students were chronically absent. So to battle this problem, which isn't unique to Camden, by the way, in our state, the district worked with community partners to implement a home visit pilot program. So through this program, volunteers work to address some of the most difficult needs in some of the most vulnerable students we have here in Camden. In one instance, the family was visited every week to help work with them and get the students back to school. The result? One student went to live with another relative in a more supportive environment, and the other student changed schools. And his attendance rate improved markedly when he went to the new school. The district has now expanded its pilot program from 13 students to more than 200 students who are getting this type of service. In the school year last year, the initial year of the pilot, Camden's chronic absenteeism went down from 38% to 31%. So we made real progress in the first year. That's why we're expanding the program. If it works, we expand it. If it doesn't, we don't. It doesn't mean we've solved the problem, but unlike in Camden's past, we're not pretending it's not there. We're tackling it head on. That's what leaders are supposed to do. Tackling these problems head on will show impressive results. I have no doubt about that, and I don't think you do either. The graduation rate, as I said, 70%. If you had told me in 2012 we were at 49%, that within 4 years we would bring it to 70%, I would have never believed it. And having the dropout rate at the same time, we can thank the programs such as Gateway to College, which are meant to accelerate students' path forward. This partnership with Camden County College is helping to fuel critical gains, and it's designed exclusively for dropout students from the Camden City School District. It provides them a second chance from ages 16 to 20 to re-engage in their education, earn their high school diploma, and move on to earn college credits towards an associate's degree or a certificate at Camden County College. Built by self-will and fueled by a really special drive, Malaysia Scott overcame what felt like insurmountable personal struggles, causing her to drop out of school and earned her high school diploma through the Gateway to College program. She finished her freshman year at Camden County College, making Dean's List last fall and President's List in the spring. And how about this to make any heart sing? In the spring, she had a 4.0 GPA. After completing the 2 years at Camden County College, she plans to transfer to a 4-year college. This is the only thing that disappoints me, to study journalism. Tough. I don't need 4.0s. Not good. Camden has proud alumni who are playing leading roles in the district's renaissance by helping the city's children realize their full potential. Ava Satterfield graduated from Camden High School in 1978 and has dedicated her life to making sure other students graduate too. As a guidance counselor at Camden High, Avis has helped students succeed, including her own daughter. Over the last 5 years, as Camden High's graduation rate has soared from 41% to 62%, while its dropout rate has been cut in more than half, from 28% to 13%, Avis is a key part of the reason why. I want to thank her for her commitment to her students, her school, and the city. And Avis's alma mater and the alma mater of a number of other people in this room will soon be getting a significant upgrade as part of our historic investment in the physical infrastructure of Camden schools. Camden High School will be reborn for a new generation of students. They will have a new $134 million high school. It's going to be a state-of-the-art 242,000 square foot facility that will be home to the Panthers and the city's 3 magnet high schools as early as 2021. The school, which today serves just 350 students, will once again be the hub of activity in the Parkside neighborhood, and we expect it will serve over 1,200 students when we reopen this new school. This tremendous new facility is not just the result of hard work by the school and the city and the state. In recognition of the overwhelming connection to the school by alumni, staff, students, the district established 3 community committees which have been instrumental in shaping the new school to meet the needs of students and the community. I want to thank them for doing that because it makes Camden High School, Camden High School. In addition to the new high school, the School Development Authority on our watch has invested another $47 million in Camden school projects. Since 2010, we've completed 14 projects, including 1 new school and 13 emergent projects at 10 other Camden schools. We've also made significant investments in some of Camden's oldest schools. Today, a $4 million improvement project is giving the 104-year-old Kramer Elementary School some much-needed infrastructure improvements. It's obvious that better learning environments lead to better results for our students, and a bright future is possible because of this for Camden's children, including a future that includes higher education if they so choose. Through the district's partnership with the higher education institutions, its dual enrollment program, Camden is offering high-achieving high school students the opportunity, as we mentioned before, to take these college classes. But this program fuels hope, makes them believe in themselves from a very early moment. Thanks to these kind of programs that are made possible because we stood up and said, Camden's kids have to have these opportunities. There is a palpable sense among many students, one that we just talked about, that college is not a dream. College is an expectation that that's where her life will lead her, where his life led him. 4 years ago, there were a handful of AP courses available only in select magnet high schools. This year, over 100 Camden students across all high schools will be taking college-level courses for credit at Camden County College. Really important. Over 60 high school students earned that college credit for free last year, and the expanded program is giving more students a chance to get the taste of college and earn credits in English, psychology, and computer literacy. Josh Sims, 2017 graduate of Creative Arts Morgan Village Academy, was one of the first students to take advantage of the dual enrollment program last year. Josh earned 12 college credits, which are serving him well this fall at Cornell University. How about this? Josh is the first Camden student to be accepted into an Ivy League university directly from a Camden high school in 10 years. Josh and his family to be congratulated. It's a real point of pride for this city, but it is only the beginning. If we continue to stay strong to these reforms, he'll be the first of many Camden students who will bring Jersey to the Ivy League. More accomplishments like his would warm our hearts. Today, all the high school students in Camden take the SAT and PSAT in school. They receive extensive support for the exams online and in class. The district college and career readiness office is supporting guidance counselors and families to better prepare them for the college application process, and even matching mentors with college-bound graduates to ensure students have ongoing support to overcome some of the financial and bureaucratic challenges that first-generation college students often face in working towards being the first in their family to hold a bachelor's degree. Camden's corporate citizens are recognizing this as well, and they're getting involved. The 76ers, who I mentioned before, provide an after-school math program at Cooper's Point School. They also conduct a weekly mentorship program with Camden High students, and they offer a free coaches clinic for the Camden High school staff. Cooper Hospital is a partner in the medical assistance apprenticeship program that allows students to work during their junior and senior years in high school, stack credentials at Camden County College, and train to be first in line for jobs in ambulatory care. Cooper's also launched the Camden Health and Athletic Association that enhances access for kids at all schools to recreational activities across the city. And one of the city's newest citizens, who we mentioned before too, Holtec, is building an apprenticeship program similar to Cooper's model. Subaru has committed $100,000 of scholarship money and free laptops to Camden's remarkable graduates, which is a recognition provided to 20 to 30 students every year who overcome significant adversity to graduate from high school. All of these positive results, they build on each other, right? If we didn't get Subaru here, if we didn't get Holtec here, if we didn't get the Sixers here, they wouldn't be doing this for Camden kids. This demonstrates the interactive, tremendous progress achieved for the Camden School District by the efforts that we all made together. And much of it has been accomplished without what government often does, which is kind of just blindly throwing money at a problem in hopes that it'll assuage their guilt. We've all seen that movie before, and it never, ever, ever ends well. Instead, we've said, let's spend the money well. Let's spend the money with ideas that come from the community. Let's be bold. Let's be unflinching. And I know you'll find this hard to believe with me, but let's be loud when necessary about what we want. Most importantly, we've done all of these things together. While we've made significant strides, I'm not satisfied, and I know you're not either. What we have here in Camden is really a partnership that has worked. Strong, compassionate, committed, willing citizens who aggressively said, we're taking our city back and we're going to rebuild it. We just need partners to help us. That partnership has to continue. Camden's young people simply can't afford for the system to backslide, and we won't let it. You can be sure that a backslide in educational achievements will result in losses in our crime reduction achievements and a renewed lack of interest in Camden by companies, investors, and developers. See, because education is the heart of it all. People aren't going to move here and live here if they don't believe their kids can get a good education here. So we can't afford to let our children fail. Not for the sake of Camden, not for the sake of our state. So as you move forward into the future, I ask that you please be educated by your history, inspired by the achievements of today, and driven to create an outstanding future for yourselves, your children, and the generations to come. I'll be moving from a front row seat to the cheap seats, but I look forward to watching it. And all the while, be assured that I'll continue to do exactly what I've done for the last 8 years. I'll be rooting for Camden. As I reviewed this speech last night, I said, damn, this is long. This is long. And I started to get my pen out to cut it. And then I said, before I do that, let me read it again. And I read it again, and I said to myself, I'm not going to cut it. There have been too many years when no one could give a long speech about the achievements of Camden. I am proud to be the governor who came and gave a too long speech in Camden because you people have achieved too damn much in the last years. To keep it short, I hope that you have governors who come here in the years to come and give speeches just as long as longer, as long as what those speeches focus on is not I, but us. Us. Dana greets me the very same way, and has for about the last 6 years, every time I come to Camden. She says to me, "Welcome home, Governor." Every time I come here, she says, "Welcome home." And I will tell you the final story, which is not in the text, but I will tell you about my favorite picture, which has hung in the governor's office for now nearly 4 years. I came to one of the newly opened schools 4 years ago and gave a talk with the mayor. And when I left the school to go to my car, there were a group of first, second, and third graders in the courtyard to my right, and they started to yell and wave. So I broke away from the troopers and made my way into the courtyard. And as I got there, more and more kids came running out into the courtyard to see me and to high-five me and give me fist bumps, and they were all surrounding me. And fortunately for me, my photographer, Tim, was there. And he took this incredible picture of me surrounded in front of a flagpole in the courtyard of Camden, one of Camden's schools, surrounded by Camden's future. When I saw that picture, he sent it to me in a book. I asked for him to reprint it and make it larger. And we hung it up right outside my office at the State House. And so that every night when I would walk out of the office, the last thing I would see was the smiling faces of the first and second and third graders of Camden who knew their governor. And believe me, they knew me. They were calling me by my name. The teachers had done a very good job that day. They knew who I was, but more importantly, they knew I was there for them. And what that picture reminded me of every day when I walked out of the office was that they're my kids too. They're my kids too. So, thank you for allowing me the privilege of being one of the people who have tried to care and help for the children of Camden. It has truly been one of the treasures of the last 8 years as governor, and one of the things that I will miss the most. But as long as you all keep achieving and working together with each other, then I'll know that the work that the mayor, the superintendent, and I, and all the rest here have done was not done in vain. Don't give up. Don't give in, never yield. You've achieved too much to turn back, and I love the city of Camden. Thank you all very much.